Okay, so let's set the scene. Imagine you're in Paris. It's January 21st, 1793.
And the feeling in the air is, it's more than just tension.
Yeah, it's like the whole world is shifting under your feet. For 1,000 years, France had this idea of divine right.
Right, the belief that the king was chosen by God. He was almost a sacred figure.
But today, the man who was King Louis XVI is just citizen Louis Capet.
And that single name change says everything. He's gone from a monarch to a common man facing a criminal charge.
He's locked up in the Temple Fortress, and the new government, the National Convention, is trying to figure out what to do with him.
They've charged him with crimes against the state. So what we're going to do is unpack those final, incredibly traumatic hours.
This isn't just about one man's death. It's about how an entire system of power ended and a new one began.
So to start, you have to look at the charges. The revolutionaries couldn't just execute him because they were angry. They needed a legal reason.
They needed it to look legitimate.
Exactly. And they focused on two huge acts of betrayal. The first one was just damning.
What was it?
They discovered a secret safe in the palace, an iron chest, the armoire de fer.
Okay.
And inside were letters, documents that proved, without any doubt, that Louis was writing to France's enemies.
Enemies like who?
The kings of Austria and Prussia. He was basically asking them to invade his own country, to crush the revolution and put him back in power.
Wow. So this wasn't just him being unhappy with the situation. This was active treason.
Oh, absolutely. And the second charge was his famous attempt to escape Paris.
The flight to Varennes.
Right. He got caught trying to flee the country. To the revolutionaries, that was him abandoning his people in a crisis. It just shattered any trust that was left.
So those charges lead to the trial, which, as you said before, was less of a real trial and more of a public spectacle?
It was pure political theater. The real question wasn't even, is he guilty? Most people already believed he was.
The question was bigger.
The question was, can we, the people, actually judge a king? It was about proving that the law was now more powerful than the monarchy.
That must have led to an incredible vote in the convention.
It was harrowing. You had 721 deputies. And this is the key part. It wasn't a secret ballot.
Oh, wow.
Every single man had to get up, walk to the front, and announce his decision out loud for everyone to hear.
In front of his rivals, the public, everyone.
The pressure was unbelievable. And the final tally, I mean, it's just staggering.
How close was it?
The vote for immediate death, with no delays, was 361.
Out of 721.
A majority of one. A single vote. That's how close it was.
That just shows you how divided they were, how fragile the whole situation was.
It really does. And the radical leaders, guys like Robespierre, they argued that the Republic couldn't survive as long as the king was alive.
He was a symbol.
He was a symbol. And they believed they had to destroy that symbol to protect the revolution. So, Louis was told the sentence was final. He would be executed in 24 hours.
So the politics are settled. Let's shift to the prison, to the personal side of this. He was allowed one last meeting with his family.
Yes. On that last evening, January 20th, they brought Marie Antoinette and his children to the dining room in the prison.
Was it private, at least?
Not really. And that's what's so cruel about it. Revolutionary guards stood just outside a glass door watching the entire thing.
Oh, that's awful. Just no dignity.
None. The meeting lasted almost 2 hours. And by all accounts, Louis was remarkably calm.
He held it together for them.
He did. He was trying to give them final advice, especially to his young son. He made him promise two things.
What were they?
Be a good person, and most importantly, never, ever seek revenge for his death.
To say that while facing execution, that's incredible. He's asking them to break the cycle of violence.
It was an attempt, for sure. When it was over, he promised he'd see them one more time in the morning.
But he didn't, did he?
No. Later that night, he decided a second goodbye would just be too painful, too devastating for all of them. So he canceled it.
So he spent the rest of the night alone.
With his priest, his confessor, preparing for the end.
Then the morning comes. January 21st. It's early, around 5 a.m. The city is cold and foggy.
And quiet. But it's a deceptive quiet. The government was on high alert.
They were worried about a rescue attempt.
Terrified. They put thousands of soldiers and National Guardsmen on the streets, lining the entire route from the prison to the execution site. It was a total security lockdown.
And the carriage arrives at 9. The journey was only about 2 miles, but it took an hour.
A very long hour.
Yeah.
And that journey was dominated by one sound.
The
The
drums.
constant, loud, relentless beating of drums. And this wasn't by accident.
No, it was a deliberate strategy.
Absolutely. The drums were there for two reasons. First, to drown out any shouts of support for the king from the crowd,
And second,
to make sure Louis couldn't give a big final speech. They didn't want him to say anything that could stir up the people or make him seem like a martyr. It was psychological warfare.
and what was Louis doing during this whole ride?
He just sat there, apparently very calm, reading from a prayer book. He seemed completely focused on what was coming.
So the carriage finally gets to the square, the Place de la Révolution. Today we know it as the Place de la Concorde.
Right, and the first thing you would see is the guillotine. Just its tall, dark shape against the gray sky. The square was packed. Maybe 20,000 people there to watch.
When he gets out of the carriage, there's a moment of resistance, right?
There is. The executioners move to tie his hands behind his back. It's standard procedure. But Louis just refuses. He pulls away.
He saw it as a final insult.
A deep one, yeah. To his dignity as a king. He wasn't going to submit to that.
So what happened? How did they convince him?
His priest stepped in. He leaned in and whispered to Louis that this final humiliation would make his sacrifice more like Christ's.
And that worked?
It did. The religious argument connected with him. He let them tie his hands.
Then he has to climb the steps to the scaffold.
And people who were there said he did it with a really firm, steady walk. It surprised everyone he wasn't breaking down.
And then on the platform, he tries one last time to speak.
One last act of defiance. He walks past the executioners, right to the edge, and signals for the drummers to stop. And for a second they do. There's silence.
What did he say?
He spoke in a loud voice. I die innocent of all the crimes imputed to me. I pardon the authors of my death, and I pray to God that the blood you are about to shed may never fall upon France.
But they didn't let him finish.
Not a chance. The general in charge, Santerre, sees what's happening, and he just roars, "Start the drums."
And they just drown him out.
Immediately, a huge wall of sound. They lead into the machine. At 10:22 a.m., the blade falls.
And the executioner holds up his head.
Holds it up for the crowd to see, and the crowd cheers. They're shouting, "Long live the Republic!" Some people even rush the scaffold to dip handkerchiefs in his blood as a souvenir.
A symbol that the monarchy was truly physically dead.
Exactly. And the government's next move shows you they were thinking about symbols too. They couldn't have his grave becoming a shrine for royalists.
So no fancy burial.
The opposite. A plain wooden box taken to the Madeleine Cemetery. And here's the key detail.
What did they do?
They dumped his body in a pit and covered it with a thick layer of quicklime.
Quicklime, what's that?
It's a chemical. It's highly corrosive. It basically makes a body decompose incredibly fast.
So they weren't just burying him, they were trying to completely erase him from existence.
That was the goal. No bones, no relics, nothing for anyone to rally around. But you can't erase the consequences.
And the fallout was immediate, both inside France and outside.
Inside France, it split the country. In Paris, the radicals celebrated. But out in the countryside, in places like the Vendée, which were very religious and royalist,
They were horrified.
They saw it as the ultimate sin, killing God's anointed king. And this is what directly sparks violent counter-revolutions. A brutal civil war begins.
So this is the moment that kicks off the most violent phase of the revolution, the period we call the Terror.
It is. But the reaction across Europe was, if anything, even bigger. The other kings, in Britain, Prussia, Austria, they look at this and they are terrified.
They think if it can happen in France, it can happen here.
Precisely. This isn't just an insult. It's a direct threat to their own survival. Great Britain kicks out the French ambassador. A massive coalition of nations forms to invade France and destroy the revolution.
So Louis' execution turns what was an internal French problem into a giant continent-wide war.
A war that would last for over 20 years. It fundamentally changed everything. The death of this one man symbolically ended the Middle Ages.
It proved that power no longer came from God.
It came from the people. And the people had the power to judge and to execute their own king.
And that act opened the door for everything that came next in modern politics, even for powerful figures like Napoleon Bonaparte to rise up and fill that void.
In the end, Louis's death was terrifying, bloody proof that the power of the citizen had finally violently replaced the power of the king.
It showed the world the incredible price of revolution and just how committed these revolutionaries were to their new republic. See you next time.